choose to look in my mirror and say I like you. Choose, I choose.
Okay, welcome back. Uncut with Jay Cutler. Today, cool guest. As a kid, I remember this movie well. I think it was 82, 83. It was filmed, Karate Kid. There's more than one. And watched it. I think we might have had a VHS of it, I think. But Martin was John Kreese in it. He had Cobra Kai. He was the bad guy. All the things. And now Cobra Kai is back on Netflix season 4. If you haven't watched it, check it out. I've watched season 1, 2, and 3. Really enjoyed it. Pretty cool that they all came back together. Marty also has a podcast on PodcastOne, Cobra Koves, with his kids, 2 kids. And they're doing kind of overviews of the show and also talking about other things. But I mean, Marty's been in the business for 50 years, over 100 films, has been doing it for a long time. So let's get into it. And this should be a good one. He's actually here in Tennessee too. So he's braving all the snow that we got right now. So let's get him on. Here we go. All right, here we go. Another week. We've got Martin Kove. Thanks for joining me. Cobra Kai's back for season 4. You've got a podcast coming out. What's it been like? I mean, it's been 35 years since Karate Kid. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of the gift that keeps giving, you know? It's like, you know, like you retired football, but you still watch football
Exactly.
diligently, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
It doesn't drop out of your life. You know, the success of Cobra Kai, I believe, is the writing. You know, over the years, people would come up with scripts and say, well, we've got a good Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid coupled with Karate Kid. We want you to do it. And 9 out of 10 times, it was not very good.
Yeah.
So these people came up to us 4 years ago, and Billy and Ralph and myself, and they were strong, and they were big fans, and they wrote well. And I wanted to sign on only if the character had texture. I didn't want to play another one-dimensional dark black hat, you know?
Yeah.
And they said they would create vulnerability and create colors in this guy's character and over the years. And I said, okay, let's do it. And then I came on episode 10, season 1, and everybody went nuts because they thought I was dead, you know? And, you know, every year there's been more vulnerability. Every year there's been more texture to the character.
Yeah.
And he's not pure evil like Terry Silver, you know? He's got moral fiber. So it's fun to play when you get those moments.
Yeah, I mean, that character, you know, from Karate Kid, I mean, that was your character. I mean, did that hamper you getting other jobs or anything like that for you know, since the break?
One time, I'll tell you a great story. One time, I was doing Cagney and Lacey, and these people were in love with the way I did Karate Kid. And they wanted me to do this movie with Chuck Norris in Fiji, Finland, and New Zealand. And I thought it was a great idea. My wife was from New Zealand. This is cool. So I signed on, and then all of a sudden they wanted me to play this rapist. And I said, I don't want to play the rapist. I want to play the lead bad guy. You know, he's not a beast.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, the word came back from the agent. They said they don't think you're unpredictable enough. So I took this prop gun. I put it in a suitcase. I said, get me another meeting with these producers. I went, did the meeting, and I didn't know when I was going to pull this gun.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it now because it's inappropriate.
Sure.
But I had it in my bag, and I was going to prove that I was not unquestionably, you know, unpredictable. I mean, I was definitely. So the guy says to me, one of the producers, my biggest fan, says to me, we want you to do this role just like you did Karate Kid. Click. I pull the gun out of the bag, put it under his chin, raised him out of his seat, and I looked at him with a long pause, and I said, don't ever tell an actor how to play the role. The writer, the other director were cracking up hysterical. I walked out. 10 minutes later, they called my agent. They said, we want Marty Kove for that other role. You know,
Boom, nailed it.
I would never do it today.
Yeah.
'Cause you get shot yourself.
Oh,
You know?
absolutely.
I choose to look in the mirror and say I like you. Choose, I choose.
Look, it's been a rough couple years, so how about starting 2022 off with a smile? And nothing delivers smiles better than Hi Chew candy. Hi Chew's flavors are unlike anything else. Hi Chew has been created in over 200 flavors since its first launch in Japan in 1975, with very specific flavor profiles. There's no artificial flavor taste at all. It's simple. Hi Chew makes people happy. Hi Chew isn't a gum or a taffy. However, the chewy texture is different from other candies. And the best part, Hi Chew contains no colors from synthetic sources and is gluten-free. MLB players across the globe love Hi Chew candy, but they're not the only ones. Celebrity fans of Hi Chew include folks like John Mayer, Kylie Jenner, and Ryan Gosling, to name a few. You really need to try it and find out what makes Hi Chew so special. We want you to love Hi Chew as much as we do. Visit hi-chew.com/win. That's hi-chew.com/WIN. And enter to win an exclusive bucket full of Hi Chew candy and swag. While you're there, check out how you can become a member of the Hi Chew Crew, which is an exclusive club where you receive special offers and all the cool things. Go to hi-chew.com/win. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in New York, in Brooklyn.
Okay. Did you act as a kid? I mean, is that what you wanted to do? Like, what was your path? How'd that happen?
I think, and I never did much about it until I was 20, but from the fourth grade on, I really liked it. You know, it was a play called The Golden Goose, and we just had so much fun, and it was the fourth grade, and I would always do plays, you know, but I think I took it seriously when I was about 20 in New York, and I was doing classical theater and repertory. And I mean, one of the first jobs I ever had entering the world, I still lived at home, was Sean Connery's stand-in in a movie called The Anderson Tapes.
Are you serious?
And
what year was that?
72.
1972. Wow.
Yeah. So you were doing Pop Warner in 1972.
I was 10 years away from being born in 72. Did you move out to Hollywood then at some point?
Yeah. Well, a couple of years later, I did.
Yeah.
I did Streetcar Named Desire in Detroit, and it gave me enough confidence a couple of years later to go out, you know. And I'd always worked, always played sort of, you know, tainted characters. And Cagney and Lacey was fun because it wasn't a heavy. And I did 5 TV series, and those characters were fun. Hard Time on Planet Earth was an alien, you know, Kodar over the years, but they weren't written as well as Cobra Kai. You know, Cobra Kai is it's like the Ed Sullivan Show, you know? I think everybody can get around the TV and get something out of it, you know? Like the Ed Sullivan Show years ago, where everybody would gather around the TV on a Sunday night. So, I mean, I meet people, you know, I'm out here in Franklin, and I meet people in the Publix and the supermarket, and all they do is talk about the versatility of the show.
Yeah.
That their 4-year-olds can watch it, and their 14-year-olds can watch it, and they watch it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That's phenomenal. When did you move to Tennessee?
Just about 5 months ago.
Oh,
You
like it?
I love it.
Yeah.
The people are great.
Yeah.
It's, you know, when I was a kid, I'm so into the Old West. I was just into the Civil War and everything. I was, even out of Brooklyn, I was a Confederate. You know, I was always rooting for the South all the time, you know, and it's really nice to be here in Franklin. You know, Franklin was the last battle of the Civil War, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
And they didn't get the communication till after the war was over for a couple of weeks. And, you know, there's just so much history here that coming from New York, where you take so much for granted and everything is in competition and everybody looks down, you know, that humanistic point of view of life eludes you because you're so much in a rush and compete and do better than the next fellow.
There's so much happening. It's sensory overload.
Yeah. So here, my kids love it. they're, hopefully they'll move here, and I've got 11 acres, so it's kind of fun.
There you
And I'm
go.
going to fix it up and,
Yeah.
get a couple horses. But this is just very much heaven. The people are compassionate, they're fun. No, and everybody has been through it. There isn't anybody I know really that hasn't been through the tough times and now is in a place where things are a little better and they're very comfortable with themselves,
So, I mean, 50-year career, you've been over 100 films. Did you know that?
People say so. I never think about it because some of them you're not so proud of.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there's somewhat, but I mean, that's a hell of a career.
Well, it's interesting because you make a list. I used to have a shelf of all the DVDs. I never looked at them.
Yeah.
Of the movies, but I kind of, whenever I got down on myself and I lost a part that I wanted, I would go over to the shelf and I'd look at all those. Some were VHS, some were DVD, some you're proud of, some things like Wyatt Earp or The Gambler, or I'm real big on westerns, and I like to rejuvenate that genre before I die. I'd like to go on the cover of Time magazine, the actor that rejuvenated the western.
There
then
we
I
go.
could die.
There you go. Have you been following? Do you watch Yellowstone?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yellowstone's terrific, but 1883.
Yeah. Just started that one.
Yeah, it is. When you get to like 4 and 5, it is real, so real.
Yeah.
I mean, Taylor Sheridan does such a great job.
It's phenomenal.
It was that tough, man, because I'm a student of the West. And, between the weather and between the Native Americans and outlaws and rivers, it was impossible to make the journey from Middle America west. And yet so many people did it.
It's crazy to think. I mean, now, there'd be so many people that couldn't make the journey if they tried right now. I mean, can you imagine?
There's a softness that exists now that's not good.
True. Yeah.
And we need heroes. We need the moral fiber. John Dutton, John Kreese, it's moral fiber. They may resort to, to physical means at times. But I do believe our society needs the hero now.
Sure.
And most of their moral fiber is admirable,
Yeah.
And, 1883, everybody should see how tough life was then.
Yeah.
And probably a lot of people would stop complaining right now.
Oh, maybe. Maybe. Puts things in perspective pretty quickly.
Yeah.
2022 is the year you don't put up with the BS. And that starts with your falling apart, scratchy, stained old sweatpants. Give your bud the upgrade it deserves and lounge like a champ with Tommy John. When you start the year wearing Tommy John, you're that much more comfortable, so you can do everything better. Tommy John's men's underwear has breathable, lightweight, moisture-wicking fabric with 4 times the stretch of competing brands. And you'll feel the same level of comfort layering their luxuriously soft loungewear right on top. Tommy John loungewear is so comfortable and good-looking, you can and will be wearing them everywhere. With over 17 million pairs sold, Tommy John doesn't have customers, they have fanatics. You choose from new underwear to loungewear. It's all backed by Tommy John's best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free guarantee. Get 20% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/uncut. Go to TommyJohn.com/uncut for 20% off. TommyJohn.com/uncut. See site for details. Did you know, whenever you guys did Karate Kid, did you know it was going to be a hit like that?
We didn't even like the title. The title sounded like a Bruce Lee movie.
Mm-hmm.
We never got it. And I believe that the author, the writer, Robert Kamen, I always have a discussion with him that he is the star of Karate Kid 1, not Ralph and Miyagi, and we always have this argument. And when you write a script and you're saying the words 35 years later, wax on, wax off, sweep the leg, no mercy.
Yeah.
And then you have Star Wars, The Force Be With You, Casablanca, Play It Again, Sam, Gone with the Wind, Frankly Scarlet, I Don't Give a Damn. Whenever you're saying these lines years later, they usually constitute a terrific movie.
Sure.
They usually, for sure they didn't come out of just some action picture.
No.
They came out of a meaningful cinematic experience. And I believe that we're still saying those lines, and Kamen wrote just a brilliant script. And nobody really knew. We didn't really know. Jerry Weintraub knew. I think John Avildsen knew. Jerry was he pushed the idea from an article in a paper. And at that time, the head of the studio was, I think, Frank Price, who then moved on, once the movie was released, actually, moved on to Universal from Columbia. So Frank Price knew this writer named Robert Kamen, brought him in, did it, and he was brilliant, just brilliant,
Where was that? Where was it filmed at?
We shot it in Los Angeles,
Okay.
1983.
Yeah.
We shot in Reseda, California. And a great bit of trivia for you is the end of Karate Kid 1, where you end in the tournament, was not really the end.
Really?
It really ended in the parking lot, which is what you saw at the beginning of Karate Kid 2, where I grabbed my kid and headlock and all that. So that scene was originally written to end the movie. And then we waited 3 hours while we're, practicing, and we practiced for months to do that fight scene, hit the window and all that. And ultimately, we get the call, it's a wrap. We're going to finish the movie in the tournament we just finished shooting. And 2 years later, we were on that parking lot doing the opening scene with the headlock and all that. And the movie was a vast success.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I was born in 83, and I mean, I still remember, 10 years later watching 93, 94, like watching Karate Kid. I mean, it's still, and it's, when Cobra Kai came out, it was on like HBO, they were running it everywhere. It's lasted the test of time, like you said.
Yeah, it's good material will always do that. I watched Star Wars the other day, just to watch it, and it's really interesting. It will hold up. 1883 will always hold up because it's about America and the progress, the industrial progress west. Not everything was fair. What we did to the Native Americans, what we did to Mexicans, what we did, we took a lot of land in the name of progress.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I was sick one day and I watched the Ken Burns documentary on the West. And it's amazing what we did. It is amazing how it was like, it was what Napoleon tried to do to Europe.
Yeah.
It's what the Germans tried to do to, Europe, and it's what Attila the Hun. It was all about conquest, except we did it in the name of industrial progress. Because, I think Lewis and Clark told Jefferson back in 1806.
Yeah, right after they bought
get the land.
Yeah, Louisiana Purchase.
Yeah, you've got to get the land that borders the Pacific Ocean. Push. It's gorgeous. It's full of resources. We were with 13 colonies on the East Coast.
Yep.
And then within 40 years, we pushed all the way to California.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
How many free trial subscriptions end up costing you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars after you just forgot to cancel? Fight back against scammy subscriptions with Truebill. And you don't even have to talk to anyone. Let Truebill do the work and set you free. Average users save $720 a year using Truebill. Truebill is a new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or simply forget about. Because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel, Truebill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your accounts and Truebill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one one tap. And your Truebill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions, so you don't have to. It's really an amazing and simple service. Truebill has over 2 million users and has helped save them over $100 million. Like Matthew B., who says, in a matter of seconds, I saved $660 for the year on my DirecTV bill, saved $120 for the year on my Sirius XM bill, and saved $840 a year on car insurance. So don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at Truebill.com/uncut. Go right now, Truebill.com/uncut. It could save you thousands a year. Truebill.com/uncut. Well, then, I mean, if you look at progress, you look at the last, 10 to 15 years, what's been accomplished with cell phones and the internet and everything else. It's I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's progressing pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think it's got to be taken in balance. I think it's confusing for the younger generation.
Very.
For everything to be moving so fast. Mm-hmm. If we can couple it with the values we talked about before, more heroes, more greater moral fiber, more people taking into consideration the compassion for the fellow man, not being so much in a hurry to get 5G and move to 6G or 7G or 8G, I mean, I just think, and it's rough because there's no heroes out there. There's nobody to listen to anymore.
Yeah. I agree.
And,
speaking of 5G and 6G, I mean, you're getting into the podcast world at 75 years old. Did you ever see that one coming?
I never did. IMDb has me 1 year older than I am. I'm actually
74?
74.
Oh.
But it's impossible to get IMDb
to change them.
They wouldn't believe it how many times we've tried.
Uh-huh.
I was born in 47. But the bottom line was, no, I'm doing this for my kids.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun together. My kid, he's doing Wyatt Earp in the prequel to Tombstone, where he meets Doc Holliday in Dodge City prior to when Wyatt Earp goes to Tombstone.
Yeah.
And he's doing this movie, and I'm going to, do a cameo in it. But it's so exciting. He's a wonderful actor. His name is Jesse. And my daughter is a life coach and a mental health student. She's she's an expert, and she's also very well versed in the subjects we're going to talk about. But, I'm doing this because I want the kids to get a hook into show business, but not struggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want them to, just really get a hook into the business with professionals so they don't have to start at the very bottom like I did.
How old are they?
Extra work and watching Sean Connery. The greatest thing about Sean Connery was I learned how to listen as an actor. Mm-hmm. I was on the set every day, and there were giants, working in this movie. But I really think the podcast business will be very interesting. Cobra Koves comes on the 20th, I think.
Yeah, a couple
of
days.
January, and
on
PodcastOne. Mm-hmm. And I believe it's going to be exciting because my kids are articulate.
Yeah.
They like the business.
Yeah.
It's like you still have football catches, I'm sure.
Yep.
I'm sure you still play football.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
As long as we can walk, throw the ball,
How old are your kids?
They're 31. They're fraternal twins.
Oh, wow.
And so I've taken Jesse to India. Mm-hmm. When I did a movie in India, I took him to India when he was 10. I've taken Rachel to Tombstone and, film festival, and she learned how to lasso. And, I've taken them everywhere, and they were kind of the focus of my life. Mm-hmm. I think that's where, around 1990, I started dipping because I kind of didn't want to do anything,
Yeah.
I just wanted to hang with these babies. Do you have babies?
Yeah, I've got 3 kids, 9, 7, and 6.
Oh, that's great, man.
Yeah, so there's, that's, you find whenever they start getting to this age, and I'm sure going forward, like you said, you want to spend as much time with them as possible because you never know what they're going to do. It's pretty amazing that you get to team back up with your kids and have a podcast and have fun that way. It's rare.
I think, God has been watching over us. There's no question about it. And, except for the snow in Tennessee. I don't quite understand that. But, otherwise everything is good. And I think, last year was, I did 2 movies, Dancing with the Stars, 2 seasons of Cobra Kai, moved to Tennessee, and it was just a lot.
And
And
a,
this
and,
year
and,
I,
a, and
I
a
want to
podcast
try
coming
and,
out now.
what is that?
And you have a podcast coming out. You've been on
Yeah, and I have a
you've been on
podcast.
you've been on fire this last year.
Well, but it's interesting. It's on fire, but I think the name of the game for me now is to really hone into what the dream is about. The dream, you're on a successful show, it's terrific, and we, season 5 is in the can, and we'll do season 6 sometime, I guess, in a year. But I really would like to hone into just 1 or 2 projects that I really value. That I can feel I've contributed to something to the world, a good Western, but not a violent Western. And a Western about heroes, and somehow find that twist. Because from 1920 to 1967, 1 of every 3 movies made in Hollywood was a Western.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's totally overexposed genre. Totally. And to find a new twist for these sophisticated kids who, know movies left and right, you've got to really work at it.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
got to work at finding that. If you got a gunfighter who puts his guns down, better be a good reason. And when he picks his guns up at the end, it better be a really good reason. Because kids are so hip nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
They're so hip in entertainment.
They're smart.
When you and I were their age, we were very happy watching John Wayne and
Yeah.
a few things,
And get-
Now, John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, that's still not enough.
Nope. Nope. And then there's so many different media outlets now. I mean, there's a million different streaming things. There's TV on all the time. There's social media. There's YouTube. There's podcasts. I mean, there's a million avenues for these kids to get entertained and see different things.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Ready to refresh your wardrobe? Express has you covered with fresh new fits. From polished suits to comfy joggers, Express has everything I need to start the new year in style. They offer the perfect mix of confidence-boosting styles and total comfort. You can't go wrong with their essential tees, polos, graphic tees, and Henleys. Plus comfort bottoms that are better looking than sweats, but just as comfy. Or if you're trying to sharpen your look, check out all the new suits available in houndstooth, flannel, suede, and more. Mix them together or wear them apart for endless versatility. And if you want that perfect blend of style and social awareness, you should really check out the Express Conscious Denim collection. Not only are they available in skinny, athletic, and slim straight styles, but the Conscious Denim collection is sustainable because they are made with at least 10% recycled fibers or cleaner dye techniques compared to traditional practices. So what's your style resolution? Start fresh this year with all new arrivals from Express. Be on the lookout for great deals in stores and at express.com. What do you were talking, I mean, you've been talking about values and stuff, and I heard you say mental health. Like, what are you guys going to talk about on the podcast?
Oh, a variety of things. We interviewed the composer of Cobra Kai, and it was fascinating because I love, Ennio Morricone, the Italian Western music, Dmitri Tiomkin, who did Red River and all of these movies in the 50s and 60s. I just love soundtracks. So we had a great interview with him. And then we had a psychologist there talking about bullying.
Yeah.
My daughter is an authority on that. And I used to travel around to different schools with a woman named Sue Ellen Freed, who wrote 2 books on bullying. And because John Kreese is the ultimate bully, it was icing on the cake. Because what she shared with audiences in a variety of cities was the real value of the seminar. And so we're going to talk a lot about what goes on per episode of Cobra Kai when there's bullying, when there's a mental health subject, someone's insecure, someone can't really, how many times has someone come into my dojo, and I say, what can you do, kid? And then they lose confidence because they can't take on the best fighter in the room.
Sure.
And I say, goodbye.
Yep.
Well, what does that mean to some kid for real?
Yeah.
You you got the trophies when you were a kid playing football.
Exactly.
Because you did.
Yeah.
But there were so many other kids that wanted a participational trophy.
Yeah.
And the big question is, do you give a kid second place, third place, fourth place? Do you really give them trophies?
That's the
John
question.
Kreese wouldn't,
No.
but maybe they should.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's a question.
I don't know that answer. And being in sports and competition, and us earlier talking about that there's a softness of society now. It's a great question to pose, because are we, just perpetually letting that softness get softer and softer, or do you go the other way and give out participation trophies and everyone gets rewarded?
It's a dilemma.
It is.
I often think about that because kids try and they want to be accepted. Mm-hmm. And sometimes their forte is computers.
Yep.
Their forte is writing.
Yeah.
Is writing poetry.
Yeah.
Their forte is music. May not be football, may not be baseball, but they go on those teams, and it's a dilemma. The answer to that question, because we want to be sensitive, but we also want to be productive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tough question.
It is tough, and I mean, my kids are younger, so I look at them now living in this world, and I think it's a lot tougher than it was when I grew up. I mean, for various reasons, just because of social media and the pressures, and these kids at 9 and 10 years old know more about the world than I knew whenever I was 18.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in southern Indiana.
Uh-huh.
And then went to Vandy here in Tennessee in 2000, and kind of have always been back and forth in Nashville.
Yeah, it's a good town.
Really it's a good town. It's changed a lot over the last 10 years, but it's getting bad to that.
That's great. Do you miss football?
Some days. I miss parts of it. Just being around the guys, the locker room. Being in the locker room after a win, that kind of stuff. Like the getting hit and, the grind of the week. Some days I miss that just for the, having a purpose. Like that was the hardest thing, I think, for most guys that get out of football, is finding like, all right, what's that next purpose? Because, we've played football since 4 or 5, and, you're all of a sudden you're 34, and it's like, all right, well, I got the rest of my life to live. So what the hell am I going to do with it?
Yeah, I actually think that's the part of my life I regret missing. And I played soccer. I was a goalie in soccer because it was the closest thing I could do. And my parents never exposed me to football in New York. And I was a really good athlete. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line was, when I got to California, the doctor of the Raiders, Dr. Rosenfeld, was my orthopedic doctor. Okay. So he took me on the field. I hung with Kenny Stabler. I hung with John Matusak, Clarence Davis. And it was late 70s, and it was just heaven. I would go up to Oakland and watch the games, So I wasn't a Ram fan. I wasn't, a San Diego fan. I was just an Oakland fan. Yeah. And I loved those guys because they had no rules.
No rules.
They just show up and win,
Yep.
And I had such a good time. And when that era ended, when Plunkett retired and it was like 84, 85, and Marcus Allen was a friend. And then I kind of lost that dream, that rubbing shoulders with them, because I never got a chance to do that. Yeah. Have that great thing you had, that locker room experience. Yeah. There's nothing better.
No, it's hard to beat.
Nothing.
Nope, it's definitely hard to beat. Uncut with Jay Cutler is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive helps you get a great rate on car insurance, even if it's not with them. They have this nifty comparison tool that puts rates side by side, so you choose a rate and coverages that work for you. Say you're interested in lowering your rate on your car insurance, visit Progressive.com to get a quote with all the coverages you want. You'll see Progressive's rate, and then their tool will provide options from other companies, all lined up and easy to compare. So that all you have to do is choose the rate and coverages you like. Progressive gives you options so you can make the best choice for you. You could be looking forward to saving money in the the near future? More money for, say, a pair of noise-canceling headphones, an Instapot, more puzzles, whatever brings you joy. Get a quote today at Progressive.com. It's one small step you can do today that can make a big impact on your budget tomorrow. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. I mean, is the cast of Cobra Kai? I mean, you guys have known each other for a long time, so it must have been good to get back with those guys and working with them in the capacity you have now.
Yeah, we all really have a love affair, We've known each other for a long time and done various different autograph shows, and we have fun. We just really have fun, and we have a mutual respect, and there's no prima donna.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Because there's always a prima donna, Yeah, you have an ensemble. There's always someone that believes that they should get more money and more camera time. And it never fails.
Yeah.
But we've eluded, that. And the writers are great. They write, they edit. I don't even know how they do it. They're 42 years old. They write, they edit, they direct. They're on the set pretty much most of the time. And they're just big fans. They're like, I had dinner with two of the writers about a month ago and last week in Atlanta. And when we went to dinner, we were talking about, Marty Kove, who are your favorite stars that you've worked with? Mm-hmm. Charlie Bronson, Sean Connery. It was like having an interview.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yet these guys have been my friends for 5 years.
Wow.
Because they just love the business. Mm-hmm. They love the actors. Mm-hmm. They love the stories, So they're like big kids. And we're lucky to work for guys like that who are not 65 and have their own agenda and trying to produce 5 other TV shows while they're doing Cobra Kai, Oh,
that's awesome. So season 4 is out. You said season 5. You guys have already... You filmed that?
That's in the can, and that'll be out probably the end of the year. And I don't know when we go back for season 6 because the writers are doing 2 other projects.
Gotcha.
So, but you never know with Netflix. Netflix is terrific. I mean, Netflix really, they just sent me 2 one-sheets of the show. Mm-hmm. It is so, these one-sheets, I never frame anything. I think I framed Wyatt Earp because Costner signed it for me. And I don't think I even can remember framing another movie that I did. I just never did. Mm-hmm. I get stuff where I like European movie posters, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in French, or Once Upon a Time in the West in Italian.
Yeah.
Once I had Tom Horn, the Steve McQueen movie. I had that in German. I've got The Alamo in Spanish.
That's cool.
I framed that because the artwork is painted.
Okay.
It's not photographs.
Okay.
So, but this, Netflix sent me 2, one-sheets, and they're beautiful artwork. These people, they know what they're doing. Yeah. I mean, Ted Sarandos is, this guy, he knows.
They got it down.
It's good to be part of that kind of family.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, well, all right. Every Thursday on PodcastOne, Cobra Koves is coming out, podcast. Netflix, season 4 is out. That's streaming. You can watch that. Season 5 is coming, you said. Martin, I appreciate you taking the time.
It's good talking to you, man.
Yeah.
You're a legend. You're right up there with Kenny.
Oh, no. You're a legend. Well, everyone...
We'll throw around the football someday. You'll take a break from the podcast in the hallway. We'll throw the football a little.
We can do that. Hey, good luck with your podcast. I'm sure I'm gonna catch up on it. I'm sure you guys are gonna kill it.
Real good. Take care of yourself. Good chatting with you.
All right, thank you, bud. Okay. Like I told him, I mean, 74 years old. The guy is rocking. He's got a podcast. He's got a hit show on Netflix. He wants to get in Westerns, which it sounds like he's going to. That was fun. Really enjoyed that. Talking about Karate Kid as a kid, when I was a kid, and just listening to his stories. I'm shocked that it's been 35 years, but I guess I'm not getting any younger either. Hit me up, Instagram, Twitter. Let me know who you want. We've gotten some really good requests and kind of reached out to people that you guys have requested. So we're going to keep doing this thing. Thank you. Enjoy. And I'll see you next week.